We have another guest who joins in to talk about the technicals of the market. Jay Bala of cashthechaos.com joins in now. Jay, hi, good morning, and it's good speaking to you after a long time. Thank you for joining us on the show. We've had a fairly decent run in the month of March. There's been a big outperformance compared to emerging market peers. What are the technicals suggesting now on the index itself?
Yeah, more than what the market has done, Sonia. The market's narrative over the last couple of days and what it was over the last few weeks, that has been very fascinating. You know, if you went back 4 weeks ago, everybody would have said, you know, this is a very narrow market and the markets, this is very bearish and the markets are heading nowhere. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, they said, you know, the markets are stuck in a range, and they're going to chop around and not go anywhere until the elections are resolved. And out of the blue, when the markets are at 11,300, you start hearing people talking about record highs. That's what the market price action does. So always follow the trend, and the news will obviously come and fit in the place. In fact, I was the only one probably who said that wars and natural disasters have absolutely no impact on the markets. And here we are. Nobody's now bothered about the India-Pakistan war. So, you know, always focus on the major trend. You'll be on the right side of the market. And the markets have done pretty significant price action. In fact, I think I recall probably it was the last interaction or the interaction before that, I said if the markets were to cross 11,300, I think there's a good possibility that we'll get record highs past 11,760. Possibly in a quicker fashion. So if you hadn't focused on the the longer term picture, if you are slightly left out on the market, wait for a pullback. I think the markets are going to do a bullish consolidation in a narrow fashion, and that might be an entry point or a re-entry point. But if you got an entry about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, you're not going to get back those kind of positions. Don't let go of it. Hold on to that like dear life.
Okay. What about the Nifty Bank, Jay? You expect that to scale more highs? What are the ranges you are trading there?
Yeah, Bank Nifty is obviously very bullish because that's at record highs, even ahead of the Nifty. And then the next resistance to focus on is at about 29,750. But I think it's heading for 33,000. That's the price objective I have. That's the equivalent of 12,500 I have, 12,400 to 12,600 I have on the Nifty as a medium-term price objective. That's what 33K is an equivalent level for me. And yesterday we had a huge range breakout for HDFC Bank, and that's heading for 2,500. And so it's backed by strong volumes. So that's doing pretty important. And in fact, in my last conversation with Anuj, I had pointed out that 240 was a very important level for S Bank. Even that's breaking out. And I had said that once it crosses 240, there's a very good possibility of a quick 90 rupees move on S Bank. So watch out for that.
Okay. Well, what about, the big view that you have is also on the FMCG space. You do mention that the Nifty FMCG may clock fresh highs. Within that pocket, is it just HUL, or do you like the others like ITC as well? And what levels would you be looking at?
Yeah, HUL is probably the driving force behind FMCG index. I'm expecting something like 33K for the Nifty FMCG index. But I think it's heading for, HUL is heading for something like 1900. And I like something like Godfrey Phillips. That's had a very important breakout for me. And it's a very, people will recognize it's an irregular inverse head and shoulder breakout. And it had a stellar run between 2013 and 2015, and had a very long-term consolidation up till the low of 2019, and it's breaking out of that consolidation. I think it's going to record highs past 2000. So FMCG is looking pretty interesting in many of the names within the FMCG space, not just HUL. They're all looking pretty positive.
Okay, Jay, when you say that your medium-term expectation is 12,400 to 600. On the index, what is the definition of medium term, and which are the stocks that are more likely to propel the Nifty to that level?
Yeah, my definition of medium term is anything beyond 3 months but less than 9 months. So I'm from the old school. So I think that anything beyond 1 year or 9 months and 1 year is classified as long term. So if you recall, during our conversations during the ILFS crisis, I had said we should prepare for the worst case of 9,700 for the Nifty, but 12,000 plus is postponed for April 2019. So that price objective remains, and the time frame also remains, but time is usually approximate. It should not. Price is the most important factor. So I would expect Nifty to scale record highs possibly in March itself. We still have a fortnight to go, and maybe definitely by April. But don't get pinned down by the time frame.
Yeah, sure.
The stocks are likely to do well. Reliance have always been positive since Feb 2015, and I'm expecting Reliance to touch about 1,500. And what is more important at this juncture? The Nifty Bank might be at record highs. The very fact that autos are participating, that's a major plus for me. That's pretty important for me. Banks and autos are very significant for the health of the market.
Okay, so those are stocks that have already done well, right? Or rather, at least the market leaders. But there are some other stocks that you like, names like, say, Godfrey Phillips, Tata Communications. Not too many of them have given great returns in the past, but you expect the trend to improve?
Yeah, that's right. If you recall, during the ILFS crisis, I had said sugar, IT, pharma, and metals were the place to hide. Sugar went to record highs, and they had a stellar run, and IT, almost near record highs. And I had said you should be pinning your bets on frontline IT names, not on mid-cap IT names. So frontline ITs like Infosys, TCS not that much, HCL Tech and Wipro, they've done pretty well. So, we should always focus on the early stages of a turn rather than the, late middle of the turn to the, when the markets are on the fag end of the, end of the move. So in that sense, Godfrey Phillips and Tata Communications fall in that category. They are in the early stages of the move. So I believe Godfrey Phillips is a doubler from current levels, and Tata Communications, and I think it's again very similar setup to the medium-term position. So I would rather buy these two names around some sort of a pullback, whether or not that comes. So instead of missing the move, what you should do is you should allocate about 20% of your normal allocation at current levels. As they come down, you build your position and pyramid into going to this drop, and you should keep the 2019 low or the December low as a stop, and hold on to the price objective that I mentioned on the screen. Okay.
For the moment, for this quarter, what would your split be between Nifty and mid caps?
Yeah, it should be more weighted towards the mid cap. Nifty, I think the allocation, Nifty has done the first leg of the move. I think the next leg of the move is going to be more on the mid cap side. So the allocation should be something like 65 towards mid cap and 35 towards Nifty.
Right, Jay. Pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and giving us your strategies, leaving the markets a little more optimistic than it was. 12,400 to 500 between 6 and 9 months is the kind of term that Jay Bala is speaking about. There is another information for viewers here. Page Industries continues to trade above the price to earnings of 52 times FY20 estimated earnings and 42 times FY21 estimated earnings after the recent correction. So why does Page Industries command such a premium over its peers? That very detailed analysis is available for you. You can log on to our website, CNBC-TV18.com.